Yes.
The zombie ponies.
We'll start once we get the projector.
Yeah. Because there's nobody else. Oh, do you have a template? You know what? You're going to have to do it. There we go.
Oh, yes, cool.
She wanted to use that right there. That's nice.
Yo.
It's up to you. You have to. Okay.
I'm going to apologize.
You know, I don't like this one. There's a lag.
This one's not that great either. Yeah, we'll talk about this. It's very cool, boys. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Resident Evil Bestiary 2012. Very similar to our panel last year. Anyone come to that? Bestiary last year?
Okay. So, for the beginning portion, it would probably be a lot of rehash. This year we asked for an extra hour because I think I made it only to Code Veronica before I ran out of time, which made 4 and 5 not happen. And also this year, as a lot of you may know, we had Resident Evil 6 come out. I had about 3 weeks in school, anyways, I had to rip through that game. I tried to get as much information on the bad dudes. Some of my information may be a little shaky, but I'm also a college student, so I only got so much time in my life. Okay, one thing I'm going to mention, I know you guys might have questions. I'm going to ask for them to be at the end because we have like 140 slides to go through. I have to go through a slide, in less than a minute. We're going to do this all in 2 hours. But at the end, I'm more than welcome to answer questions if you guys are at that boss you just can't seem to beat, or you just want to talk about how cool this boss is. And also, if you have any questions related to the storyline, about characters or anything like that, we're also doing like a history of Umbrella, and Tricell, and Will Farmer, and all those silly corporations tomorrow. Okay.
Alright, so let's do this. Right, we're going to do this game, not spoiler-free, but spoiler-free as we can get, which means we'll go in chronological order. In the storyline, starting from 0, working your way up. Most often you will see an enemy, its picture, description of what it is, where it came from, how you kill the sucker in the game, and if it were a real monster in real life and you had to fight the bastard, what you possibly can do to die less for it.
Or possibly can't do. Either way, it works.
By the way, it's Resident Evil. We, Brian especially, swear a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I do not have a swear guard. So if any of you have small children, or am allergic to swear words, or any other thing in between, I apologize, but I did not design this to be, a PG panel. Right?
Alright, so let's get kicking with some Resident Evil.
So we start with Biohazard 0, we're going with chronologically. So we have the zombie. It's slow, it's brainless, loves to eat your flesh, come from people infected with the T-virus and without any scientists guiding all the BS that happens. So, pretty much in the game, they're your bread and butter. You got a gun, you shoot them. If you got a knife, you can be careful, stab in the back, stab in the sides, but you run the risk of getting slashed pretty easily. Also, fire tends to work pretty well with them. And if you play the remake of Resident Evil 1, the bodies, well, never mind, I'll approach that when we get there. Alright, for trying to survive them in real life, same issue, shoot them in the head, hit them with, blunt objects in the head, or you can just kind of mildly jog away. I'm sure they wouldn't be able to catch up to you, but yeah.
I think you can. For anything else, we went to zombies. There's a bunch of zombie survival guide horror panels around. They'll tell you how to kill zombies in very detail. So we have the MA39 Cerberus, a dog.
It goes bark and bites you. Okay, so Cerberus, I kind of have a... Guns makes it easier, definitely. The shotgun makes it much easier because when they lunge at you, you can go just beat them away with all the shotgun bullets in the world. Pistol, of course, is easily viable. I tend to be a suicidal SOB, love to kill everything with the knife if possible, which usually ends up you chasing their tail rather than them chasing your own.
Traditionally, when you see this knife icon in the bottom corner of our screen, it's Brian's knife corner, where he'll usually go into great detail or tell us a hilarious story of knifing the enemy. So just a little preview what's to come. The tyrant from the first game will be a knife corner.
Oh yeah, you can kill the tyrant that you encounter in Resident Evil 1 very easily. It's really silly. Alright, so if you have this coming after you in real life, as you can see, its eyes aren't exactly the best thing in the world. They tend to be more, react more to sound. So be quiet, or you can do that, tried and true tactic, grab a bottle, grab a rock, grab something that makes noise, and toss it, far away, toss it at your friends, toss it at the bad guys, toss it at something that will keep their interest and go your very merry way. Again, low caliber guns will do wonders on you.
Oh my god, Leech Marcus. Or the Leech.
So, we have our first BS umbrella science. So this is created from the progenitor/T virus. In the mythos, the T virus was actually developed when they infected leeches with the progenitor virus. For some reason, when James Marcus, the guy who did all this research, died, the leeches crawled all over his body, absorbed his DNA, and decided to make clones of him in gigantic leech colonies. Well, not gigantic, human size.
Stretchy though, very stretchy. Yeah, in the actual game, these things are a pain in the ass if you aren't prepared for them. If you don't know where they are, they're super resilient to almost all gunfire. They eat up tons of ammo. They hit you really hard. But fire attacks, anything fire in the game is close to an instant kill. There's Molotov cocktails, which take up a lot of inventory to create and make, and you can lug around.
But they do wonders on this. And at the first point where you first encounter this, the only fire weapon you will have is Molotov cocktails. So learn how to use them. They're kind of dangerous. Also, you'll encounter little mini leeches running around. Basically, they just kind of do minimal damage. They even touch you. Most of the time, you're just running around and you hear pop, pop, pop. And that's you just kill the leeches by stepping out there. Survival, same thing. Torch it. Probably salt would also work very well, as most creatures like slugs and snails don't like salt. They dry up and they die.
Take it to a cracker factory. What's that chance? Oh, the stinger. A giant scorpion in real life could not happen because it crushed by its own weight of its exoskeleton.
Other things about creatures like this, insectoids or things like that with carapaces also breathe through the carapace. And as you get bigger like that, you get more of yourself in a disproportionately, growth and surface area. So they probably would also suffocate them.
But we have to accept that it's T-virus and that these things could actually happen. So just fantasize this with us for a minute.
Or have a nightmare, either way. I mean, it depends on whether you like being attacked by giant scorpions or not. I won't judge.
Our strategy in the game, quite simple, you shoot it in the face. Now this thing thinks it's smart. It's got these giant metallic pincer things that are like, you can't shoot me, you can't shoot me. You can't really see all that well, so we're going to open it. Oh God, you shot me in the face again. Why would you do that?
Immediately prior to this, you will pick up your first shotgun-like weapon. It's the hunting rifle. I think you can only hold 2 shells at a time, which is BS, by the way. Anyways, really what you do is you just get up in its grill and you unload the shotgun on its face. After you crack its shell, again, it'll have this big old kind of greenish, mushy blob where his face is, and you just keep going to town on it, and he will die. If you face this in real life, it will probably snap you in half. Resident Evil player characters happen to be super resilient to things like getting your jugular ripped out or being covered in fire, acid poured on you, falling immense heights. I mean, Leon has titanium legs, for Christ's sake. No, Leon does not roll.
Leon totally.
No. Okay, no. Okay,
that does come up actually.
Okay, so it's probably venomous, since scorpions are venomous, so pretty much just avoid it. As you can see, it takes up the whole train car. You'll probably be in an urban area, so just kind of run through an alley, and you'll probably have a pretty terrible time chasing you. Otherwise, if you do need to fight it, you're probably going to need a more powerful gun, armor-piercing type stuff, maybe a large caliber Magnum. By the way, Magnum doesn't mean the gun itself is super powerful. You can get 22 rimfire and magnum quantity. It just means it's more power and it shoots a little bit faster. The 22 are dinky bullets and they'll do nothing.
Now, because of its immense size, the eyes are larger on than a standard scorpion, and that would be a softer, squishier weak point. Crow, it's a bird. You shoot them in the game, you knife them in the game. In real life, just get away from them.
Actually, they're pretty terrible to knife. I don't suggest it. I've tried it. They just move around too much. And you probably actually get killed by them if you try to knife a whole swarm. Anyway, I'm going to just attack this now since I don't think I have a slide when we hit 4. Crows get murdered by flashbang grenades. Like, every time you see a flock of crows or crows on the ground, toss out a flashbang and you'll have a pile of crows. And then, of course, in 4, they all drop items. So it's wonderful. It's like Christmas.
You should be getting more flashbangs back. You have a pile of 6 crows, you get 2 flashbangs, a ton of cash, and maybe some bullets.
In real life, again, you can probably use bullets to scare them away. You could probably just dodge them, run into a building, they'll probably smack into a window like normal crows. And you can also use like tennis rackets or something with a large area you can swing really quickly and just go BAM! Bye-bye, crow.
In large numbers, they're dangerous. If you've seen the 3rd Resident Evil film, in large flocks, they are quite dangerous simply because you need some sort of economy-sized flamethrower to get them all. Yeah, that's right. Crawlers. You know, I never liked these things in the game. Again, an insectoid T-virus variant. They love to pin you down in some sexually suggestive manner, and they kind of dry hump you to death. They think they're eating your face with their thorax and abdomen are just kind of this rocking motion, and you know that's really what kills me, is watching that happen. Shotguns in the game work super well on them. You really don't need anything else.
They're only in a few select areas, usually in kind of underground passages. So if you minimize your time there, you probably don't have to deal with them. And, you know, again, plays into like if you encounter them in real life, they tend to like damp places. Don't go into your basement; there might be a plague problem there. Again, you know, fire as you're going down in the basement, and electricity's down. You'll probably have something fire-like unless you have a flashlight. Yeah. I'm sorry for you. Otherwise, we suggest when it tries to mount you, it for some reason has a gigantic opening on its chest, and none of the Resident Evil characters like to do anything about it. But I'm sure you could take like a pike or a spear or something sharp and go, yeah! But we don't.
Moving on. The Centurion.
I don't like centipedes, and a gigantic one is just terrible. Okay, again, it's a progenitor virus bow. This is similar to T-virus BS. This is a boss monster. You do not want to mess around with this guy. If you got shotgun, if you got any bigger weapon, you want to go to town on it. I think shotgun is the biggest weapon you have.
Yeah, at that point.
Okay.
You might have the grenade launch. Zero's been a long time for me. And you might have the grenade launch by this point, some like explosive rounds.
Yeah, if you do have the grenade launcher, it'll only be explosive rounds, or what do you have acid at this point?
I think it's just explosive.
Okay. And so, you just got to tank control your way away from it, shoot it. In real life, if you encounter ones, don't even go near it. Centipedes are very, very, very poisonous. I'm assuming one infected progenitor virus would also be super poisonous. And maybe hugging it would be the less than useful to live.
Next one.
Okay, let's go. Web spinners. Spiders. You'll see them in pretty much every single Resident Evil game up until 4, where you don't have any giant spider anymore. They crawl on walls, they crawl on the floor, they will transition between the 2 areas. When they're on the walls, their main attack is dropping acid on you. Really, you just gotta not be next to them. Pistol from a distance will be more than enough. Shotgun up close, maybe 1 or 2 blasts and you're done. Actually, half the time I run away from them. If you really want to, you can just kind of sneak up behind them. They don't really have an attack for their gigantic butts. You just kind of stab their butt. And they can't do much about it. And again, it depends on your level of tank control. All the knife tactics require you to be pretty good with tank control. Because then you can just run circles around them all day long.
Who has never played an early Resident Evil game? Anyone? Never played it before? Okay. We use the phrase tank control a lot. That's because you move with the speed and the turn capability of an actual tank.
So if you think of a tank, you know, when they turn, they kind of do this whole thing where they kind of pivot around. That's really what you do. You can't seem to move sideways, none of this. You have to go, oh no, there's something in front of me.
And aiming is just like...
Yeah, so... Anyway, real life, void, dark, underground areas, they don't seem to like being anywhere that's not a sewer system or a basement. So I'm assuming you're probably not going to be down there anyway, so for the best, stay away. Again, they're spiders, they're kind of squishy. Just shoot them enough. Leave you alone.
Well, fair warning, in the Resident Evil games, use a high enough caliber weapon, and their butts will explode into baby spiders, which aren't really that deadly on their own. They're really annoying and easily poison you, and there's just like a 20 step arm. Oh, eliminators. For some reason, these are one of my least favorite things to fight in the series. They seem to eat up too much ammo, they're short.
They're more agile than hunters, which is kind of DS, because this was an experimental thing that never really got deployed or developed very much. And you got hunters, which should be the lean, mean killing machine that is ripping everyone's faces apart. These guys are infinitely worse, probably 2 to 3 times worse to deal with than your standard hunter. Again, they just like to jump around a lot more than hunters. And, you know, pistol doesn't really stun them at all, so your best bet is a shotgun when they're anywhere nearby.
These things always swarm you too. There's never just one in the game. There's always a pack of 4 to 5, and they hit you ridiculously hard because they're so freaking small.
Okay, so again, survival, mid-power caliber, you probably want to use a shotgun because again, they're going to jump around. You want something with some spread. And they love to be like on top of buildings, you know, crawling on cliff sides and whatever, just places you would never expect. They'll probably just kind of jump through your basement window or something.
Like most, you know, orangutans, they're noisy. You'll hear them. You die.
Okay, so we got the giant bat. It's a bat that grew really, really, really big. It can spawn smaller bats and will, you know, swoop at you. Really, just gotta try and run around and avoid that. Again, standard boss strategy. Just get your big guns and go to town on it. It will eventually die. Also, it would be useful to bring in some sort of healing item. You know, you got probably tons of salad at this point. Mix in some red cabbage. With this sort of thing, if you encountered real life, you probably just want to stay indoors or maybe like in a car because it'll probably, if it really hates you, it'll probably just grab you, pick you up, and drop you somewhere where you're not going to. If you do somehow be grabbed by it or have to deal with it, you could probably just slash the, you know, its wing membrane, and it will probably disable its flight.
So that's pretty much all there is to say about the bat.
Yeah.
Hey, our best friend. He's kind of like almost the mascot of the Resident Evil series. What do you think about, you know, he's that cute, cuddly creature that, you know, is the poster child monster for the Resident Evil game. Anyhow, you got the hunter, your alpha version.
The documents are kind of weird. They say that this was originally humanoid type thing. I think they've said it was like some sort of primate.
They talk about how it's this reptilian primate of some sort of mostly ape-based thing.
Which, how you get that, I really don't know. Anyways, again, at the later points of the game, you'll start encountering these very often. Liberal usage of shotgun. Actually, most of the time when I encounter them, they'll try to do this jump thing, which will do massive damage, or insta-kill you if you have low enough health. They'll just pop your head off. Half the time, if I walk into a room and I hear, you know, they're jumping at you, like really the best thing to do is aim, pull back, fire, because they're probably in mid-free fall, and that will knock them down, allowing you to just kind of finish them off with a second shot. Okay, so by the way, the knife thing, that was more of an unfunny joke, because you really shouldn't try and open with a knife. They look at them. They have 3 on their feet. They have 4 more on their hands. They have more knives than you. If you know, knife for knife cancels out, they still got what? For a whatever, a lot more than you.
Allegedly, for a BOW, they are much smarter and trainable, which makes them extra deadly. So if you can avoid it, avoid it. If you can hide in a box and it can't smell you, just hope for the best.
Yeah, again, everything they mentioned in the game, these are just literally killing machines that they engineered. So you probably wouldn't want to even deal with one. If you have one after you, well, I'm sorry, you're probably screwed. This one.
I can take care of the lurker. Okay, the lurker in the game. You'll be going on this little catwalk. You're at a dam, there's some water to both sides of you, and sometimes there's little frog guys go up. You're like, I love frogs, and this big fat fucker jumps out. And the first thing it does is tongue, wham, wraps around you, and unless you get out of the way in time, you are stuck in this. The only way to get out of it is if your partner character, which is AI controlled, shoots the stupid thing.
Well, in this game, you can switch between two players. You have Billy, and then you have Rebecca. Yeah, Rebecca Chambers. And the game probably wants you to stick together most of the time, unless they force you to separate. Because the AI loves to use all of your ammo, and this game doesn't give you a lot, I tend to usually have them camped out somewhere and doing their own thing. Which means when these guys grab you and your partner is camped out like 7 rooms away, that's pretty much a game.
You're going to load your next save file because you're dead. So now, run away. And this catwalk, as long as you hold down the run button and don't stop to smell the toads, you're free. You're good. They're slow, they can't get to you very fast, but if they get a hold of you and there's no partner, guaranteed game over. They're frogs, they're squishy like most squishy things are. Shooting them with virtually any long-range weapon is highly advisable, or, get the hell away.
Like in real life, if you're grabbed by one of those things, I'm pretty sure most people would be smart enough to grab a knife if you have one. If you don't, you're not doing it right. Grab your knife, cut the tongue, run away. Also, if you stay away from ponds, I don't think they'll bug you because they're frogs. They still need water, as far as I can tell, to live.
Hi there.
All right, so we have the chronologically the first tyrant that you encountered. You will notice with tyrants, they have a thing for having exposed organs. A lot of times, the heart, but there's usually some sort of exposed organ. It makes me wonder, why would you expose your heart if you're trying to make a healing weapon thing? It's just, whatever. Anyways, okay, first one you see, again, in any Resident Evil game, you'll encounter tons of tyrants. They're your boss type thing. You will want to use your most powerful gun possible on them. They don't stun hardly ever, but they're mostly restricted to melee range. So really, you just got to kind of outrun them and choose your shots.
And this prototype, it's pretty slow moving. It's not complete yet, and it's not even a real deal, and it hatched a little bit too early, so it's not even done. It's not a complete prototype at best. It kind of slowly hulks in your way.
Because I don't like Zero. Zero is one of my less favorite Resident Evil games. I never bothered to go back and try this guy. It wasn't worth the pain, in my opinion. I mean, okay, I'm sorry. I had to deal with lickers. There's a lot of pain there already. I reached my pain quotient. So, if you find these guys in real life, again, similar deal as hunters, you really just don't want to mess with them. If you have to, you got the big old red glowing spot. Hit it for massive damage.
Don't shake its hand. Not a good day. All right, next.
Okay, you'll talk about this one.
All right, so you start Resident Evil 0. There's a cutscene, there's a train going. And for no really explained reason, there's this like hot chick on a mountaintop singing opera, and the camera zooms in, like, that's not a chick. That sounds a lot like a chick. Okay, it's a Japanese game. I get it now. Okay, so the source, it's a deceased Marcus, who's a very famous, one of the earliest Umbrella researchers, plus leeches, plus a lot of bullshit. Again, like I said earlier, Marcus's corpse went, I am dead, I was betrayed by Umbrella, big surprise. Then his leeches, filled with progenitor T-virus stuff, they like, Daddy, no! And so they crawl over his corpse and they go
into his lungs and infect him with the T-virus, which resurrects him. But at this point, he's mostly Leech and less Marcus. I think the only thing that he really understands at this point is he wants real revenge on Umbrella, which leads to all the nasty events that we see in the later games.
Yeah. Now, this guy, he's contributed greatly to anime conventions. This potato sack he wears, he's a cosplay. Short ideas, bam. All right, he is a final boss. By this point in the game, you should have lots of guns. I would hope you save some ammo, especially some of the bigger guns, your magnum rounds, your grenade rounds, in particular the acid or flame rounds. Hell, even shotgun shells are great. And on any difficulty, right before you fight him, there's this huge weapons cache right before you go into his room. So it's like, must be a final boss up ahead. Sure enough, bam. For the first form here, we have this, I don't know, tentacle monster thing. For a Japanese schoolgirl, there's nothing you can do. All right. Anyhow, hit it with your biggest guns. And this unfortunately, is Resident Evil's greatest weakness to the game series. If there is a boss, when in doubt, whip out the big guns, the big ammo, shoot lots. Stay far away. and he's no exception to the rule. But then you get, Queen Leech ultimate weapon from Final Fantasy Islands. It's the blob tentacle monster upgrade on it. And this thing is unkillable in the game. It hulks towards you, or crawls towards you, or slimes towards you, and you have to run around and open up these hatches that.
There's four cranks. You have to turn all the cranks. It'll open up the roof, and it just so happens you've been in this mansion all night dealing with all this crud. So when it opens up, it's like noon sun, and this leech is like, "Why would you open the windows?" And it just melts and it burns and it just that. And just to make sure it's dead, you of course, as soon as that's done, I don't know if there's some like in case of emergency open window, the base goes into a self-destruct sequence, the whole entire thing blows up. And of course you gotta run away, otherwise you get another game over.
Despite the weird difficulty curve of Resident Evil 0, sometimes it's very unforgiving, this is the easiest part of the game. It's no challenge to any part of the first final boss, or the final boss. In real life, if you encounter this game, you're probably screwed. Spewing acids, knocking you down, it's going to hurt. But it's not terribly aggressive for a final boss. It's very slow. It tries to play range games and spit acid pretty far. It's kind of tame. It's a little ADHD, kind of goes after whatever it sees moving around. So, sunlight kills it. We established this, so in real life, sun would work. So just wait till daytime to burn the fogger. Salt.
Yep. Cracker Factory again. Cracker Factory may be the best place. Not only do you get food, you get leech killing power.
Or winter in Nebraska.
We assume that if it gets really cold, it'll just freeze and stop doing leechy things.
Alright, next.
Okay, so we get to Resident Evil. I mostly did the remake because that's all the stuff from the original, plus more awesome stuff, might I add. I love the remake so much. Okay, this is the first more thing. If you played the original version, you probably don't even know what these are. In the remake, you kill a zombie, if the head doesn't explode, it just lies on the ground. And I thought, oh, this is neat, they're keeping track of the bodies. Well, it just so happens, they are now on a timer. If you don't burn the body soon enough, and there's like little gas cans with kerosene in it, and there's only so much kerosene, so you gotta kind of watch it. But if you don't burn them fast enough, they'll turn red color, and then, encounter them, why are they red looking? You inch over to them, they decide, I now have a rubber spine. They go, and then they now run at you, like they're sprinting zombies, they now have probably 6-inch claws, and they will murder your face. They're about on par with hunters, which is a bunch of horse manure, because you can encounter these guys very early on in the game. So again, you just got to treat them very similar to hunters. They don't stun from the pistol, and you can't outrun them for the most part because they run just against you. You're going to want a shotgun. The best way is just to not even let them exist. If you kill the body, find kerosene, bring the lighter, burn the guy. If you are in a room, you have a shotgun, and you know you're going to come back, or you think you're going to come back, shotgun, pull back. And for some reason, when their head is here and your shotgun is pointing here, their heads will just explode like wet bread. Okay, so survival in real life, find a gas station, fill up, burn it. If you have a mansion full of these guys, burn the mansion.
Now, their heads are as frail as normal zombies. Take out the brain, you took out the monster. Chop off the head, it's not going to move anymore. But just stay away from them.
But yeah, also if you just kind of stay away from the Crimson Heads, like don't even go near them, they won't become active again. But as soon as they get up, they're a bad day. That room, you either will never want to go back to it or you need to kill it.
Alright, so first of all, to show you a graphical difference between the original PlayStation version and the GameCube remake, this is Yawn, Snake. And up top, obviously the GameCube one, you got PS1 on the bottom, right?
Yeah, top one's PS1, bottom one's remake. Again, your first boss, by this point you will have the shotgun. You can either use it liberally. I think there's also shotgun shells in this room which you can use. Or if you're chill, you will probably have the grenade launcher, which means acid rounds are your best bet on it. If you get hit a lot during this fight, it'll actually change the storyline. Your character will be infected with the poison, and then someone else will have to save your butt. I know that on Chris's, you'll have to temporarily take control of Rebecca, who survived the leech boss and wandered into another mansion full of zombies in the next night. So, what happens with
Jill?
Yeah.
With Jill, depending on your difficulty and what you've done thus far, you'll say, "Oh no, I've been poisoned." Schlump. Cut to black. As it's kind of black, you see some boots.
Oh yeah, by the way, Jill's easy mode. Barry will save your ass all day long.
Barry Gordon, this gruff, bearded man, picks up the body, his huge muscles, takes her to a resting room, and he's like, "I found this antidote. Drink it up." Thanks, Barry. Depending on what you do, and if it's on the hardest difficulty, Jill's like, "Crap, I gotta find it on my own."
Okay. Anyways, as you can see, there's a knife symbol in it. This boss is really silly. It usually tries to circle and get facing straight at you. What you can do is, you see where it has this little bend here? You can hang out in that bend all day long and just poke it. Holding time. You don't need to use a single bullet, and if you're good enough and move often enough, you will not get hit once. This is a really
You don't
silly
actually have
boss.
to be that good to be good enough. It's very basic. Both versions of the game. Get in that coil, stab it, it dies forever.
Real life is slow for a snake. Well, I mean, I guess a giant snake, so it might very well be slow. Just kind of avoid it. If it's as silly as it is in the regular game, you probably won't have much issue with it. Okay, so. Oh yeah, by the way, you can climb on stuff.
Okay. You know what, bugs? Just say bugs.
Yeah, whatever. They're bugs. You can shoot them.
yeah.
Oh yeah, another quick reference. If anyone knows about Ant-Man and Wasp.
This is, the perfect strategy to kill those wasps. Anyhow, we'll move on.
Okay, sharks. Sharks live in water. Why would you go to water? There's plot BS. You have to go into this big old shark tank. By the way, another graphical difference. PS1 version, the Aquadome is a square room with a fish tank in the center. In the remake of Resident Evil for the GameCube, it is a metallic dome with walkways, gigantic pool of water covering everything. You have to go into a little command booth where you have to do a puzzle thing, otherwise a giant shark will explode your booth and drown you or kill you or eat you or all sorts of nasty things. In the first game, or the original version, you push a button, sharks bust out of their tank. Oh no, it's really weird. Anyway. So, really, I find when you encounter these guys, run away. They're not really worth your time. If you want, you can shoot them and kill them, but there's 3 of the sharks in the room, and they will, again, team up on you. It's really just not worth it.
They will generally 2-hit kill you. One big, they have a small bite, which is about quarter health. They have the long bite where they drag you under and you pop back up. That's half your health gone. Bam. So they suck.
In real life, well, just don't go swimming. Again, throw toasters into the water, hair dryers, I don't know, lamps, anything that will, shock them. If you got a gun and they're stupid enough to float near the surface, you can just go ahead and take pot shots at it. I'm assuming it's not going to grow legs anytime soon. Okay, let's go. Type 42. Strategy, you'll have to use V-Jolt to weaken it. It's another puzzle. If you don't and go in, it will grapple you. I forget what happens on Chris because I've never been silly enough to go in there without V-Jolt. But if you're Jill and you go in there without V-Jolt, Barry comes to save the day with a flamethrower. Just like I said, the game, Jill is easy mode.
When you're Chris, and you're suspended up in the air to get caught, you switch controls to Rebecca, who magically walks into the room. Oh my gosh, I should go make V-Jolt. The game forces you to make V-Jolt. You poison the thing, Chris falls down, he's like, oh my god, that was so tough. And the thing comes back, and you have to fight it again.
Yeah. In real life, it's a plant. Even though this plant can move around, it seems to be stuck in one room. So really, if you see it, just walk away. No. Okay. You can.
Alright, so we got Lisa Trevor, who is, in Resident Evil 2, we'll talk about the G virus, the upgrade from the T virus, and she is the original G virus specimen. George Trevor is the architect for the mansion that you're in currently, and his wife, and his daughter were heavily experimented on. George
just got killed. George knew too much. They didn't want to turn him into a zombie, even though his brain would also be wet bread. So they decided to just allow him, for some reason, to get lost in the mazes that he himself designed. I don't understand. All I know is he found himself in a hole and he died.
Right. In the game, you can fill this chick with as much ammo as you would like and want to waste. She will go down. Give her about 10 seconds, she's back up. You can repeat this for as long as you want, or as long as, well, as much ammo. If you have ammo, you can still do it until you're out. You can't kill her. She's unkillable. She regenerates.
She hits like a truck.
She will telegraph her move. She'll sit here, cry, go back, if you're stupid enough to still kind of be in the way, bam-o, it's a two-hit kill.
Real life survival, same thing. Just, again, it's not very fast, but you can just kind of jog away. Also, protect your face. Lisa has a bad habit of collecting faces. That hump on her back is covered in faces.
It's like Pokemon cards, just flush it. Alright, next.
Okay, Black Tiger. You know what? I'm gonna cut this really short because we have a lot to go through. It's a big spider. If you're
The bigger big
Chris,
spider.
yeah, it's an even bigger spider. If you're Chris, you got a flamethrower. Just use it all over its face. You'll lose access to it very soon anyway, so you might as well use the whole thing on it. Otherwise, you get shotgun magnum, whatever. Bigger version of spider. Go find the previous spider. Do that. You can maybe get away by going into small alleys because it's so goddamn deep.
That's it. This is too long. The chimeras, these things are freaky. They're a BOW with human flesh, fly DNA, and possibly more because they are after all a chimera. Virtually any gun with knockback in the game is, pretty much mandatory to take them down with any kind of ease. You can take pot shots with a handgun, but they come always in huge swarms. There's tons of them. You don't have time to beep, 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 which doesn't slow them down anyway. They can also jump to the ceiling and crawl around and move like spider monkeys, and they love to pull you up. They won't rip you apart right away. They'll make love to you with acid from their mouth. And you go, oh, no, Tom.
The game kind of trolls you at this point because they also send a swarm of these guys after you while you're carrying a highly unstable compound similar to nitroglycerin, where if you breathe wrong on it, it will explode. Well, if you fire your gun too much, giant explosion will cover your screen and game over. So it's not necessarily hard, it's just the game is just laughing at you. Because you can run with it, but if you run too long, you also explode! Okay, so survival, real life, they're bug-like. They got kind of a weakish carapace, it looks like, so kind of hit it with one thing like a pipe or a baseball bat. If you only got one from afar, use a handgun, 9mm or something of that sort. If you have to deal with a bunch of them, well, shotgun is your best bet, or just not be around. Okay, type into 2. This is the guy I said that I knifed to death. If you look at his model, he has a gigantic, huge claw arm, bad arm, normal human arm, good arm. That's the one you want to shake hands with. If you hang out on its weak arm, he can't touch you with any of his swipes. That's why you can kill him with the knife. You really just hug that side and keep poking him. And if he somehow manages to, finagle his way so that you're not around his left arm, you just walk back.
He suffers from the same tank control weakness that you do, if not slower. After you down the first T2 tyrant, you'll be like, yeah, it's dead. I used magnums or knives, and it's dead. You run through the mansion, not the mansion, laboratory, get to a helicopter. You're like, helicopter, save me! The floor explodes. And all of a sudden, this tyrant has turned pink or crimson red, kind of like the Crimson Heads. And now he can actually like football tackle you, light and fast. So it's a great cross swipe.
Yeah.
Rip apart the ground. There's like red lights coming out of it.
You shouldn't use the knife at this stage. I did because, again, I'm a sucker for using the knife on everything. Really, at that point, you're just kind of annoying him. I don't think you can even kill him if you just keep using your magnum on him. You gotta wait for the helicopter to give you the rocket launcher. That's how you have to end like every single Resident Evil game. So, helicopter's like, here, use this. Shoot the rocket launcher at him. Actually, what in the remake, does he get the DS?
In the remake, my first time playing it, I thought I knew the game well. Because I played the original 100 times over. I'm like, it's the rocket launcher. I aim for it, he's on the other side of the screen. I have all the time in the world to push the fire button. Rocket goes out, he's in his running animation. BAM! Rocket goes elsewhere. Like, that's my ass open. And I survived, and I fired up a second volley with the ball's backwards turn and killed him dead. And went to the cutscene death where the character makes a quip and the thing's three different angles, and then. Alright, listen on.
Resident Evil 2.
Focus game.
Okay. So, as you've noticed, we are not covering enemies that reappear. So whatever. Anyways, first unique enemy we get is the Licker. It happens to be, according to the documents, a zombie that has been reinfected with the T-virus, which does not compute in biology speak. But whatever, we'll believe it. It just mutates even more. It decides it doesn't need skin.